Share sound. Okay. Uh, um, let's hope this is working. Um, One watching? All right, somebody's watching. That's cool. All right. Can I hear myself? Who knows? Who knows? All right. I'm gonna make sure this is working. No live, stream key, all that bullshit. Well, let this share live. All right. Unmute. I have to unmute myself? No. Can I hear myself when watching? All right. Somebody's watching. Okay, I can hear myself. Okay, I can hear myself. All right. Okay, okay. All right, so I'm going to give like a brief overview. All right, so this is something I've been talking about in class. All right, so everybody's worried about getting a job. Read this article. You'll see this Fortune magazine. Look at this. Gilded Age coming back, layoffs, pay inequality. All right. This is a pretty short article, but it basically goes into the fact that wealth inequality is hardening and it is getting more unequal, right? So you can look at the Gini, the Gini coefficient to show how unequal things are in a society and showing that things are hardening as far as the K-shaped recovery. And so that K-shaped recovery is showing that the people at the top who have the assets are getting richer. People at the bottom who don't have assets, who work, trade time for money, they're getting poorer. That's a problem, especially if you're on the bottom. It's not a problem if you're on the top. One of the things that Theo's doing is giving us a chance to get towards the top. And I think Theo is one of the guys who, from what he said for his total revenue for the year, he actually is going towards the top, right? And that's where we're going. And he's teaching us the skills to get there. All right. And so why have there been so many tech layoffs, right? CEOs are looking for basically cost efficiencies, right? These are the Jack Welch types. So you see Meta, right? 10,000 workers for a year of efficiency. Boom. Um, and you're seeing a bunch of other companies doing layoffs as well. Intel, um, God, I'll show that a little bit later in the next slide. But yeah, shareholder supremacy, boom. These companies are beholden to their shareholders. And that is what they're trying to do. You're going to see a lot of these companies doing stock buybacks, and that is where they're going to make their money to make their companies seem on paper worth more money, and to get more investment from the shareholder class. And this is the people who are, pretty much high net worth individuals. Think 8 figures plus, so $10 million or more. Really, $20 million or more is where it starts. Because at that point, you take, let's say your bonds or let's say savings, whatever, you're going to get 5% off of that. So you think you're thinking if you're worth 20 million, you're going to get 1 million a year from just interest off of the coupon for your bonds or savings from any cash accounts that you might have, right? But that can be spread out over any type of assets you might hold. But that's just looking at it just for cash value, which most people aren't. Yeah. And so, this is a good indicator. With the Dollar Tree showing down that they're shutting down 1,000 of their stores. And that's probably because China is not going to be able to produce at cost cheap enough goods for them to maintain their margins. So that's going to be an issue. Um, yeah. So you can go into it, and I'll probably share some more stuff in the group, but that's just an idea. So let's look at layoffs.com or layoffs.fy, right? This is what I was talking about. The companies with layoffs. You can look at, let's sort this. Sort. Greatest to most. All right, look at that. Yeah, Intel, Tesla, Google, Meta, Amazon, right? A lot of these companies are forcing people out because they want to cut costs, and they also think that they're going to get a benefit from AI. Those would be my top two. And, they want to increase shareholder value so they can show that they've cut, one of the easiest costs, which is staff salaries. Problem is, every time you do layoffs, you wind up setting back your company behind. So you might increase profits temporarily, but as far as your productivity, it doesn't really help. You actually wind up having to hire back some of those people. So they'll probably get them back, some on W-2, some on 1099. So, but this is the dates, you're seeing August, you're seeing April, and this is back in 2023, 2022. All right, but that's not the only reason why, because some of these companies have done it once or twice. 2U, let's just stop. Yeah, 2U, 23andMe. But yeah, was it Amazon was the, let me see how many layoffs that they had. Yeah, look at that Amazon, 10,000, 9,000, 8,000, 400, right? So they've trimmed off, right? So that's pretty good that they've somewhat slowed down. 400 was the last cuts. And I think those were some of the RTO people, which they've started to force out, return to office folks. All right. So this is the layoff chart. You look at the bottom here. This is tech layoffs since COVID-19. So this 2021, Q1 2020, this is when a lot of people from Theo's class were starting to get hired, right? And a lot of them got in and have been in. So that's class one, class two, class three. This is when I was in class three originally, class four, all right, and then class five, roughly. And this is Q4 2024. See this? Layoffs are at their lowest peak. They're kind of back to the pre-COVID levels where a lot of people were in from class one and two, and they were making money. All right. And so if you look at the top chart here, you'll see the top layoffs, January 2023, right? That's a year and a half ago. Well, more than almost 2 years ago, right? That was the peak of the layoffs, right? That's post-COVID, return to office, everybody's coming in. And it started trickling down, but they cut a lot of fat. They cut a lot of fat because they had a hiring spree going in. And here we are all the way over here, October 2024. This is where it's at the lowest amount, right? And so we're kind of normalized. I think companies know where they're at. They are at Q4 2024. Budgets are set for next hiring season, which will be January slash Q1 2025. And that's where you'll see they're going to start making right-sized decisions, right? They're going to try and find people with the skills to be able to do the job that they want, which is what Theo's training us for. All right, so let's go over this one. So this site I found is fantastic, right? They do all this different stuff that they'll show. All right, you'll see. Okay, this has all jobs. So this is 300,000 jobs through all these domains: AI, ML, business analytics, cybersecurity, data science, DevOps, IO, project management, site reliability. So let's go through this and let's open up what I would qualify as the stuff that Theo is actually training us on and show what is available. All right, so let's say 300,000 jobs. All right, let's say AI engineering, machine learning ops, definitely research. Solutions architecture, sure. Enterprise and solutions, yes. Really not this. I mean, he's touched on it a little bit, but not really. Cloud, yes, all cloud. Application security, cloud security. I am a little bit. Not kind of. Infrastructure security, network security, vulnerability. I'd say red teams, yes, but not deeply. I'll click yes. All right. Data engineering, no. He's talked about it, but he's not taught. I'm gonna limit that to taught. Bioinformatics, no. Backend develop, no. So backend, front end, he's talked about this somewhat and then pointed us to IP for some of the Python stuff, but IP has not, international passport, that is, has not really done that. But I would say I could click this backend, front end, software. I could probably kick that. DevOps, yes. IO, no, we've talked about it, but he hasn't like actually like taught. Salesforce, that was my previous domain. So I could click that. ServiceNow, I know that, but he's talked about it. SharePoint talked about it. Workday talked about it. Network engineering, cloud network, absolutely. Wireless, no, we've talked about it, and we're probably going to move into this a little bit. Actually, you know what? Network engineer, yeah, the advanced firewalls, yeah, I would say yes. Unified community, no, but he'll probably go there. Um, Project management, not really. I mean, that would have to go into the software. Program management, no. QA and tests, yeah. And then site reliability. Okay. All right. So let's see. This is updating. Okay. But okay. So this is going to update all of this from what I selected and show. All right. What are the specializations? What are the credentials? The skill sets, titles, right? And then the top 20 skills. And it's still updating. So yeah, we'll see. All right. So let's see. All right. So top 20 companies. Um, I've actually interviewed with four, no, five of these companies on this list. All right. Got offers from one. And if you look on this right side, you look at all these, I've interviewed with a lot of these companies and got offers from two. And this is from the stuff that Theo's taught and from the stuff that he's asked us to, try and do on the other side. Man, this is still updating. All right, so what are the skills? All right, CI/CD, that's the pipeline for software improvement. Docker, that's applications that you'll have. Think of StreamYard or any application you could think of on the web. Right, DevOps, that's the whole process of software engineering meets operations. So infrastructure, that's what he's teaching us with the cloud. That's what he's teaching us with the pipeline. Right, Tableau, that's just data visualization. We have not taught that, but what's his name? Sub-Zero from Lifting the Veil. He'll teach you. He can teach you that. And I've actually spoken to him. I'm going to sign up for one of his courses. It looks like, all right, so we went from 300,000 to 73,000 jobs over the past 12 months, which is pretty strong. All right. Tableau, databases, R, no. Terraform, definitely. That's configuring cloud. GCP, we had a whole class on that. ETL, talk to Sub-Zero. Excel, I mean, you should already know Excel. Jenkins, that is the pipeline tool that you would use to make all of this. So yeah, automation, that's the whole thing about getting everything done with cloud, with DevOps. Security is all the checks in place to make sure everything works. SQL, talk to Sub-Zero. Scripting, talk to International Passport. TCP/IP, talk to Theo. DNS, Theo, infrastructure as code, that's Terraform, essentially. This is the general term for Terraform. Or Terraform or Ansible or Python or any other scripting language you can learn. Machine learning, talk to Theo. Software development, IP, cloud, talk to Theo. Right. So this is also these are the number of skills that are being requested. All right. Years of experience, 4 years. And the mid-range salary, 149. So let's say AWS, 144. Right. And look at all those other skills there that are listed in that pop-up. All right. And these are the credentials they're looking for: bachelor's in computer science, master's, engineering, CISSP. I'm studying for some of these, have some of these. Yeah, PhD, associates. Yeah, there's a lot of the stuff that Theo's pointed us at, and we're doing good. And so, yeah, these are the titles you'll see: network engineer, DevOps engineer. One of my titles is in the site reliability engineer, senior DevOps engineer. Yeah. So Theo would be basically like a senior DevOps engineer, teaching us how to be cloud or DevOps engineers, right? And these are the skills that they're looking for. Cisco, well, that's Theo's domain. I'm not a Cisco guy. PowerShell, learning that. SQL, I've taken a separate course. That's what he said. Go on your little side missions. Agile method, that's the way that you actually do the projects. Bash, it's a scripting language. Jenkins, that's the Python. DevOps, that's the whole practice of using all these different skills in order to get software. AWS, that's one of the cloud environments. CI/CD, the pipeline. Terraform, Ansible, those are infrastructure as code, right? Configuring cloud in order to make infrastructure for your office to run software. Docker, that's an application host. Kubernetes is a way to orchestrate Docker. Python, you can use as, for a bunch of different stuff. And GCP, Google Cloud Platform, right? So you're selling, years of experience, average salary, about 140 to 150 is where a lot of this is running. Yeah, and so I'll say, look at all this, the job specializations. I'm learning a lot of this, know a good amount of this. I'm not an expert, but I'm very comfortable talking this and working within my section. And you can see the salaries, DevOps engineer. This is DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, site reliability. Yeah, these are the three jobs that I would be typically going for. In the 139 to 150 range, 138 to 157, 165 to 184, right? So those are, yeah. And then job postings, salaries, companies, uh, locations. Remember, some of these are remote, but they'll list it deeper in. And then this is showing the minimum, mid, and max for this, right? So it's usually in that, I'd say the ones that have gotten to at least 3 rounds or more have been in that 125 to 175 range. A couple of outliers in the high end, but I don't think I've had any salary discussion lower than 125. Um, and I'll show the last piece. I'll show those locations. Okay. All right. So even though these companies might be listed here, a lot of these jobs are going to be remote. All right. And I did want to do an overlay of this, but basically think about any type of company that has, let's say finance, tech, finance, tech, like general tech, education, healthcare. Um, there's a bunch of different ways that you can work with cloud engineer, AI, ML, machine learning. Um, just a bunch of these. So look at that, Jacksonville, Florida. That's why you don't want to be there. That's probably gonna be on site at some shit box company. Atlanta, 97,000, information security. Yeah, remote, Azure General, AI architect. Yeah, that's what I could train up for there. Savannah, probably. No, Savannah would be down here. This would be like Charleston. Jesus, junior network engineer. That's why. Yeah. So Kubernetes network, 175. Yeah, that's something I would be contacted about. Let's see. Raleigh, Durham, a bunch of the stuff. Charlotte, that's gonna be banking. Test automation for 100K. That's it. I mean, test automation. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Senior network engineer. Yeah, but yeah, you can go in and see. Oh, that's Fayetteville. That's probably why. Oh, so this will probably be on site at Fort Bragg. 170. Yeah, for rapid scale. Okay, so cybersecurity job. But let's see, like, let's see Charlotte. Let's see Charlotte. Charlotte will give you like a decent sample. All right. Let's see. All right. 126 for threat protection. Yeah, I could probably do that. Um, Cloud infrastructure, 125. Yeah. But that's probably at a bank, like Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Well, probably Wells Fargo. 170, 107. Let's see what this is. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not opening up, but okay, we're good. We're good on that. But I just want to give you a taste of what that is and what I use to see what's out there. Um, but yeah, this is actually, if I probably remove network engineer, it'll update that. It'll remove some of these jobs, but it would increase the salaries, right? So I've already gotten hired, and this is what we've learned. Not all of this, but this is a good job of roadmap.sh/DevOps, right? So you want to think of all of this stuff. You should learn one or two things: program language, operating system, how to script, process management, right? Like how do you do this type of stuff on the terminal, Vim, Git. This is all these different pieces you have to know, right? The version control, your containers, yeah, your load balancers. This is big stuff, big money. Nginx, Apache. You want to learn how the web servers work and network protocols, port numbers that can coincide with this. Obviously, the OSI model, and then your cloud models, cloud providers. I've used one, two, three, four of these. Um, yeah, four of these pretty regularly. You want to do your serverless stuff that costs less money, takes up less resources. And then how do you configure and modify this? This is more open. These are proprietary. I think no, Chef and Puppet. They were also competitors. Some companies still use Chef and Puppet though, but they're configuring the environment after it's deployed. And these are some of the, this is AWS's CDK and CloudFormation, or they're proprietary. Pulumi and Terraform are open source. Your CI/CD tools, I was talking about Jenkins earlier. So I've talked about Jenkins, GitLab, GitHub Actions with companies. How do you store your secrets? Vault. I'm doing actually research on that this afternoon. And then a couple of other ones that are out there. And then how do you store your, how do you visualize and dashboard stuff so you can report it to your team so you can secure and monitor your environment? Containers. This is, how do you scale up your infrastructure for applications to be readily available? So like, think about when you go to google.com, there's rarely a bottleneck that lasts more than a few seconds because they're containerized, they're orchestrated, and they can scale up at almost infinite amount of availability, right? Application monitoring. Yeah, this goes back to Prometheus, okay? So infrastructure monitoring, application monitoring, right? These are the same things. Artifacts, these are like how you construct your environment. How does this actually work? And then what are you keeping as far as what you put out there from all this other stuff that you put up there? GitOps. God, what is GitOps again? What is GitOps again? Oh my gosh. GitOps is you create your environment, you've got it out there, you want to make sure that it can run throughout the whole scene. So you think about your version, to your build, to your artifacts, and then what are you going to do to make sure that it runs faster, and remember the configuration. I believe that's it. Service mesh, this is organizing this containers and the containers so that it basically if you think about all the stuff that you have out there, as far as, let's say you have like a google.com that's taking all this information, you want to be able to understand what's going on with it and be able to organize it accurately. So if you have like a big plate of spaghetti, something like Istio or Console will be able to straighten out those strings of spaghetti, so you'd be able to identify what you're actually looking at and being able to configure within your containers, whether that be your logs, your configurations, your networking, your health, all those different type of things. It creates like a service dashboard for it. Like a lot of stuff is very, oof. And then your design patterns, right? So this can be like more data infrastructure management. Yeah, so this gives you like a good idea of what's piecing together. And the first 3 months is the hardest portion of this, getting past it. But I'll give you a sample of, let me see. All right, so this is an overview of what I've done as far as, so I started in Theo's class, September 2023. September 23, got my first certification, which is the introductional foundational one, which really, it got me a handful of interviews. Starting in May was when I was starting to interview. And so I was averaging, 7. I did a couple of decent jobs, but I didn't really get callbacks. You see, that's a big jump from mid-May to when I started really picking up in July, which is, July, that's the start of Q2 or Q3, right? So end of June, that's when the end of Q2 is. So budgets are set for the companies who want to hire in Q3. So companies will typically hire in January or July because they have their budget set. All right. So this is when I started getting my ping pong of interviews, ping pong, pong, pong. And so I would go somewhere on the trend line going up over time, right? But I get somewhere between a 7 and an 8, which is good, but I was getting first round, second round. A lot of these are first round, second round, first round, second round. And then I started getting second round, third round, second round, third round. And then I started getting third round, fourth round, right? And I got hired somewhere around here, right? When I was really hitting my stride. And so I think I had a couple of these where I don't know what this would have been or what this would have been. But there's sometimes I just didn't show up as well, right? But I'd say the 2 big inflection points where I started getting big calls from recruiters were after July 1st, or after getting my certification, then after July 1st, when the budget's reset. And then I had 2 big pops when they tried to take out the former president, who could be the next president, Donald J. Right. And this is my interview counts, right, over time. And so I'd have like sometimes like 2 a day, 2 or 3 a week. I'd have like 4 a day. Yeah, the most I think I had in one day was 4 interviews, separate companies, right? This would have probably been like 5 interviews within a week, which would have been like, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, something like that. And I got hired somewhere around here, started, and I'm still taking interviews, right? And then This will show you the trend of time. It took me about 70 interviews to get my first offer, and then I got an offer immediately after, right? And I'll show you, I don't know why this isn't showing. The actual X should be the months. So this should be July. This should be August. This should be September. This should be October, right? So July, August, you see that increase in trend. Biggest thing is all these people contacted me, right? They contacted me. That is the most important part. Theo's teaching you the skills to get what you need in order to do what you need. And then you have to create your resume to be able to ping and show up in the search. And that is where it's very critical, right? So once you get that resume updated, reach out to me, speech ops. This is incredibly important. And I'll say this is why, right? Look at Eddie Murphy, right? He's arguably one of the most famous people of our generation. Well, not our generation. He's a baby boomer, but he is, what, 60 years old? He's been famous since he was 18 years old, right? He's doing comedy since he was 15. The reason, and this was said to me from someone who knows him who worked in the comedy world, because I used to be a door guy at a comedy clubs, right? So I get to meet a lot of these guys. He said that Eddie Murphy used to listen to the recordings of himself when he was performing. And it would be at these little shitty hole in the wall places in Long Island, Queens, Brooklyn. But he would listen to recordings to analyze what he did that would get a good reaction and would get a bad reaction. He cut out all the bad reactions, right? That's what I do with the speech ops. I want you to be good. I want you to know your stuff. I want you to be good. And then I want you to go in there with the confidence that you can explain what you've done in class, meaning what you've learned, what you've done for homework, and apply that to what you're going to be doing for your future employer, right? So you want to be able to trim off the bad, do the good, and then be so good you can't be denied. Because every time they take an interview with you, they like what they see, and they want to say, oh, this is the guy we want to bring in, right? So class 5 guys, you guys already know what you're doing. You're in interview process. Class 5.5 guys, you already know what you're doing. Come back, do some more speech ops, reach out to me. Class 6 guys, get your certification. Listen until you get your certification. Once you do, reach out to me. We'll do a resume update, do the speech ops. I want you to get really good at knowing what you're doing. So I'd say the 3 things are: go to class. It's repetition, right? But repetition gets you gains. 2, do your homework. The homework is important because you can use that for projects to explain how you can do certain things on the job and how you've done certain things in your life, right? Number 3, side missions. Don't overload yourself, but start to take up stuff that's just outside of the class's reach. Theo's not going to teach you how to script in Python. He's not going to teach you how to script in Bash or PowerShell. Like, he'll provide some resources, but you're going to have to learn that on your own a little bit. So find those books, the lunch series, learn Python in a month of lunches, learn PowerShell in a month of lunches, learn Bash in a month of lunches. Reach out to people in class who have resources, whether that be DevOps boot camps, whether that be Ansible boot camps. Learn those skills. And then you can say, oh, and then take notes on those skills too. And then I would say this: if you're class 5.5, if you haven't been hired, don't use AI. Really, don't use AI. But I'll say, get a certification or 2, get into the interview or 2, and then start to touch AI in order to learn better how to trim off the fat of how you learn. Meaning, don't ask it to give you solutions, ask it to give you a way to solve problems better, and then get to the place where you can understand how you're going to solve this problem better without the AI's help, right? But never, and then also never mention AI as far as like ChatGPT or what are the other ones? The Gemini or Copilot. Don't mention those in interviews. Don't. Because a lot of people who are going to be interviewing you, they have at the bottom of their heart a fear that they're actually going to get replaced by AI. And that is it's a possibility. I don't think it's highly probable at this point, but that is a fear. So they don't want you bringing in all this bullshit that could take them out of a job, that could take you out of a job. Now, people are going to use it. Companies are going to have their own private AIs, but don't mention it in there. Your goal at this point, if you're class 5.5 or class 6, is to get better at your skills, get ready to go. And then once you're there, you'll be able to get whatever you need once you get that offer letter, right? And so I got my offer letter somewhere around here, 9/4. Yeah, somewhere around here, right? And this was after roughly 70 interviews, right? And that was, not all of them were like rejections. A lot of it was like recruiter call. So the recruiter call, then the first round, then the second round, then the third round, then the fourth round, right? And then some companies I think one company I got an offer after two, and then one company I got an offer after four, and then I'm on the table. So right now we are around here, and I've had first rounds around here, which is late October, mid to late October, and a lot of these companies are waiting till after the election. They're saying we're not going to make a decision where we're going to go until November. So November is where it's going to go. But all right, I think that's 30 minutes. I think that's enough. I don't have anything else to say, but good luck. See you in class today at 2. Listen to Theo. Guy knows what he's saying about this IT stuff. Get your groups, figure out how to solve the problems, get your side missions, get on Udemy, get on YouTube, get the DevOps roadmap. There's free resources out there. Get on r/DevOps on Reddit. There's a bunch of stuff out there. But outside of that, I don't have anything else to say. I'm going to unshare this and stop. And I'm going to hope that this actually recorded everything. But yeah, thank you all for listening. If you do, I'll probably share this in the group.